Hey guys, what's up? This is my monthly on average vlog. I'm only about a week behind this time, so better than last time. In this, I'm going to cover all the stuff I've done about the last month and videos that I've made that I really liked and things like that. So I'm also going to answer questions from YouTube videos, from comments, things like that, and also comments from Patreons and stuff like that. Speaking about Patreons, I'm kind of thinking about restructuring some of the rewards. I feel like the dollar levels for some of the ones past $10 are just way too high and don't really make much sense. So I think I'm going to start scaling some of the things down. Like some of the things that should be more widely available, like like for example, linking the scripts to the Day 9 series lessons. That way people can read them over. I kind of want to I want to make those more easily accessible, but right now they're at the $50 level, which is kind of ridiculous. I think it should be more like $20 level. So I'll probably restructure some of those tiers to make them more low heavy. And therefore incentivize you guys to feel justified in paying for those. So I'm gonna probably start brainstorming to rework some of those things. For example, the submit clips section doesn't have a huge amount of people. It's about 10 or 12 or something like that, and maybe only half of those people actually end up submitting clips because they don't care. They care about the other rewards in the tier. So we'll probably start scaling things down a little bit. That way, there's more availability from you guys for the ones that are for the categories that actually need something from you guys, clips or whatever. And now that I have more free time, since I'm not doing day 9 show prep anymore, I'll probably, first of all, I opened replay coaching again. I uploaded one of those. I don't know if it's up now or in the future, depends on timeline stuff. But I'm going to do replay coaching more. If you guys want to sign up for that, it's coaching.purgegamers.com. My main website is down right now, and it has been for probably almost 3 weeks now. It's been down since about midway through TI. And what ended up happening was somebody sent me a Discord message, and they said that so basically I have a weird website. The guy that makes it is knows a lot about websites, and he made it in this different way. And apparently the true.io, I think, extension. However, whatever, I don't know much about making websites, but basically like the certificates, the person that makes the certificates did something wrong, so they got basically like reprimanded or banned or something from Google or something like that, which is why you guys get all those cert errors on the website. So the website is down. The website guy is working on it. Thanks for all of your comments letting me know. But considering it's been 3 weeks, I am very sick of reading those comments of your website is down, and I wish it was up, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to fix it yet. So hopefully soon, fingers crossed. So that is website stuff. In terms of coaching, again, if you want to go to the coaching site, you'll have to directly access it. It's a different website server-wise, so you should be able to access that. I haven't opened up slots for regular live coaching yet, but I may do that sometime in the future. In fact, what I want to do is probably start doing some raffles within the Patreon tiers, where I'll raffle away a Purge Cast of Pub game that you guys can submit, or I'll raffle off a replay coaching, or I'll raffle off a live coaching. And we have a system set up to do that we can probably start integrating. So that'll probably be involved in the discussion. And that's probably about all I'll say about Patreon so far. Other than thanks everybody for signing up, that is. If you guys have any suggestions for Patreon, please leave the comments down below in the video comments, and I'd love to read your comments and hear what you have to say. But I'm sure I'll contact all the people on Patreon as well to ask them what they feel like for the categories, and maybe there's going to be some more stuff that you guys feel justified in signing up for. Okay, that is pretty much all the precursor stuff. Can talk about the international that happened in the last month. I was pretty happy with how things went. I showed up like the last day of groups, and then we had a day off, and then we went live. I kind of regret not showing up a day or two earlier. I had the option to show up in the end of September, like basically leave September 31st, but I didn't want to go that early because I wouldn't have started doing anything until like August 7th. So I would have basically been in Seattle for a whole week without doing anything. And the downside was when I was home, I was just watching group stage games anyways. So it's like, I kind of felt like I was still wasting my time in a way, because I was still going to be watching the games all day and not accomplishing much. But I did get to take care of my dog and be home and eat what I wanted and all that stuff. So it was positives and negatives. I think prep-wise, I should have done more prep going into it. Like last year at TI, for example, a lot of the funny moments that happened were a lot of like Valve ideas. Like Bruno came up one night, he's like, why don't you actually do the weather? And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it in the morning. We did in the morning, it worked out really well. And the one where we did the drawing on the guy that had the sign that said like wooers or whatever, That was Ali's idea, I assume. He was the one that ran upstairs. He was the show lead last year. He ran upstairs. He was like, "We have this video. We think you should make fun of it. We think it'd be funny." So I did that as well. So those were basically both Valve ideas. So I probably should have prepped a little bit more, because part of the problem is that like we know what all the tools are now, and we've used most of the really wacky ones. So it's like it wasn't as creative of a process spontaneously. It's kind of like we had the same material, and this was the third time I've done Weatherman now. So it was just, I wish it was funnier. I think that's definitely my biggest regret. I think content-wise, I was very pleased. We didn't have to grind as hard this time because I was more experienced what to do, and Rob and I got the system down a lot better this time, so it was like easier, but it was still very, very tough. Still a lot of work, but not as hard. I just wish we did more funny stuff. It took a couple days till I felt like in the groove enough to do funny things, basically. And I think if I had sat down with Rob maybe a day or two earlier, that we maybe would have brainstormed a little bit more rather than just kind of showing up and doing it. So kind of regret that, but I know that a lot of you guys really enjoyed it. It's also weird, like a lot of the way that content creators will judge how they do is most of the time by judging themselves. Like I'll do a presentation and think like, oh, I did that one poorly, I did that one bad, this is what I did wrong. Oh, I should have spent less time on this, I should have practiced more right before I went live to do run throughs, that way I didn't stumble my words, or if I knew which clip would be too long, which broke the flow, which made me feel like I had to push forward. Like that's how I analyze how I'm doing them and how to improve them. And I don't remember my original thought here. Oh yeah, that's right, I remember now. So that's how most people do it, but there's also Reddit comments, social media, stuff like that, and those are usually a really good way to get feedback as well. And it was weird last year because Weatherman was the new thing, and there was just a shitload of comments. Like there was so much. I've never had that much social media traffic in my life, I think. The only other time that was huge was when I did the 9-hour patch notes stream and got like 30K viewers. That was also insane. But TI6 Weatherman was like kind of insane how many Reddit threads there were, stuff like that. And this year, there were very, very few, if any, Reddit threads that I saw. I don't think there was like maybe one or two, which kind of worries me, right? Because if you go from, and it's difficult to judge, like, was it as good? Was it good enough? Was it better? Because the exposure levels are so vastly different. Because the average person is not extremely excited. They still like it. They still enjoy it, but you usually don't get good feedback unless, at least like people that go out of their way to send you feedback, you really don't get very good feedback unless those people are really angry at you or if they're really excited with what you're doing. So not seeing Reddit threads made me uneasy because I wasn't sure how I had done. I definitely did better than Boston, I think, for sure. And we had very few tech errors and things like that. And I definitely have a lot of series that I was really proud of the points that I found and the points that I made on camera. But that part was a little tough. And I just wanted to communicate that, I guess, because Weatherman's hard, man. So I think I could have done better. I think I would give myself like a B overall. I think I could have, and that's, I always want to hit the A. Whenever I work Weatherman and do panel stuff, I always want to be an A. And frustrates me a lot when I'm a B. So even if I sound negative, it doesn't mean I think I did a really crappy job. It's just I'm very critical of mistakes, as you guys may know, because that's kind of the way my brain works, and that's why in some ways I'm good at YouTube and doing what I do. So I definitely always want to improve. So wish I did a little bit better, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it either way. So wish I made you laugh more. Definitely regret that. Okay, so that was TI. TI was a really good experience, and then I pretty much stayed in Seattle for an extra day, hung out with my girlfriend, and then we left the day after. TI was great. It's kind of, there's always that like 1 month period after TI where I kind of forget who won TI and who is now like a millionaire, but it was Team Liquid, so very happy for them. They're a very, very, very good team. Like they really deserved it. There's this weird thing that happened during the tournament. Like I've been off my Dota vibe for like 9 months, 8 months, and by that I mean I haven't had enough time to play Dota myself, so I haven't felt fully in tune with the metagame. And normally I have all this time to like stream and play games and soak up Dota content as I desire it. But when I was doing the Day 9 show, it was like 2 days a week gone between show prep and doing the show. So I didn't have as much time and as much experience myself playing Dota, adapting to the high meta games. So like the first half of the tournament, part of the problem was I was still kind of getting used to things and kind of seeing what the patterns were, who the players are, what things to look for. Because like another thing that made the Weatherman difficult this year is that like all the teams get better every year. Like it's actually insane. That's why there's like a 10K player, right? Or that's why there wasn't 9K players and there were 8K players. Like every year, teams and players actually get better. So that means like last year, games could be more one-sided and they could end really fast. And that was kind of nice because if a game was really one-sided, I could look at that and be like, hey, this game was really one-sided. This is why it was one-sided, and that could be my presentation. But if it's not, if the game becomes one-sided, but then the game comes back and then it's like a 50-minute game, then making that point is like kind of shitty now, and it's hard to do that. And basically, my point is, all the games were really close this year. Like there was very few games that were stompy. There was like maybe one or two of the first round elimination matches that were one-sided, but almost every other game was like pretty interesting, dynamic late game stuff. So it was harder for me to find new stuff that I hadn't seen before that I thought would be interesting sometimes. And when the game is so close, I can't just be like, hey, this gank went well for this team. And hey, look, this gank went well for this team. And then, hey, look, this gank went well. And I'm just showing like 4 ganks that happen. It's not telling a story. So that was kind of the other problem in some of the games where it was just difficult to find something that really stuck out. And that was really interesting. But as a whole, I was pretty content. A lot of the times it'd be like 45 minutes in, they call GG, and I'm like, all right. And I go into the folder for a bunch of the clips that I take, and I just throw in like 4. And I, in that moment of like stress, I think like, all right, I need something right now. What's my move? And I just quickly think about some talking point, and then I throw it in, and then I wing it most of the time. All those last minute ones, they're all very often wing, no prep, so no dry runs, which is basically like me pretending to present. So Weatherman was another good learning experience. Learn more about myself and my limitations, and definitely need to put a little bit more mental effort towards being funnier on content, I think, because I have it in me. I just sometimes get too deadlocked on the analytical stuff, as you guys know. So good experience, though. Very good experience. All right, could talk about Artifact. I did hear before Artifact was coming out that there was a new game, and the person said to me that it would be very, very good for me. And I didn't really understood what they meant at the time. I was like, what the heck does that mean? Like, why is it going to be good for me? And then the game got announced, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, oh, that'll be cool. I'll probably play that. And then I was like, it felt like 30 seconds at least later. And then I was like, oh, I could probably make videos for that. Like, and in that thought, the fact that it was delayed for me made me realize, I'm not trying to like, I'm just going to say it. It made me realize how atypical of a content creator I am sometimes. And I don't think this is the case for many Dota 2 content creators. Like, I think pretty much everybody that works in Dota really loves Dota, which is basically my case. But I've pretty much never branched out into other games content-wise, just because, like, I've played other games, but I never really stick to them long, and I never really wanted to make videos for them much. But if it's Dota related and has strategy, I'm probably going to be really interested. And then I realized I could make money off of this, and that thought is not something I usually think about. I usually think like, what videos do I want to make, and what interests me, and make a video about it. Is kind of how I live my content creator lifestyle. And it's not like I'm not a very forward thinking person. I kind of like live in the now, and I kind of get lucky in that it all works out, and that I still can make a living from this, which is pretty cool. And again, I'm not trying to sound like arrogant that, oh, I didn't even think about the monetizing until late. I just want to talk about the fact that it was a weird feeling for me that it's my job to make videos about stuff, and this thing got announced, which is basically, if the game gets popular, it's like a guaranteed revenue stream for me. Because I've seen content creators in other games be like, oh, here's this new Blizzard game that's coming out, let's all jump on it. And people will just jump in it to try to get there early, to try to ride that wave of becoming popular with that game. So I don't know, I felt like talking about that because it was a weird feeling for me to realize that, oh, I can make money from this. That's why that person said what they did to me. So excited about it. I think I only know 2 people that have actually played it so far, and they both said it was really cool. So yeah, I'm excited. Should be fun. Definitely will play that and make videos about it. Would love to ride that curve and, you know, make that fat cash. All right, new heroes. This one was kind of fun. So one thing I did right before TI was Valve contacted me, and they contracted me to write hero strings. And what that means is, if you guys watched the newcomer stream, it was basically the regular broadcast, but there were pop-ups for heroes. And what that meant is Tortellini and it was Lyrical sitting down there. They'd do alternating shifts. They would basically, when a new hero was on screen or something, or a new hero was picked, they would go to the hero, they'd do a drop down, and they'd select this text. A string is basically, it's a variable type in programming. So it's usually used to describe a string of, it's like a sentence, or a certain amount of characters that could be a sentence. So I basically wrote 3 to 4 sentences about every hero in the game. And then I wrote 3 to 4 sentences about, this is more like 2 to 4 because some of the items are really basic, 2 to 4 sentences about every item in the game. And that shit took me a long time. It was like, I think 26 hours of work, and I did it in like less than a week. So basically for minimum 20, it was more like 30 hours probably, but there was something I had to, when my program crashed once, I had to redo work, but I didn't charge them for that. But I basically did like 30 hours of work that week just writing strings, and it was like the most mind-numbing shit. Like, it was interesting, and I definitely learned a little bit more about Dota, about thinking about how to frame sentences, but it was a grind. But I was definitely happy to do it, because the goal basically is that any tournament now can use do a sort of newbie stream, basically using those strings. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was fun to be involved, and yeah, and it all got integrated. Anyways, so the way that I was given the files, it was basically just a spreadsheet, and it had the Valve person basically just copy pasted the database of heroes, like all the hero names. It was probably some file, and then they pasted it in the spreadsheet, and they sent it to me. And as I was like looking through the whole thing, I got to the bottom, and there were 2 heroes, and they were the new heroes. So this was like a week and a half before TI. So I basically knew that the 2 new heroes were coming out. So that was pretty cool. And I knew what their names were as well, according to the in-game. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say what they are. One of them you guys already know. It's like the little fairy one. And the other one, I don't know, maybe they'll change it. Maybe, I don't know. I won't say it. But it was kind of cool to know, like, ahead of time. I was looking at it with Sander, my editor, and we basically sat there. And I was like, you know what this means, man? That means we're like one of the probably less than 200 people in the world that knows the new hero names, that's always a cool feeling. It's one of the cool things about working with a big game studio. Kind of similar to the strings thing. It's like my sentences, something I wrote is on every single one of your guys' PCs. It's in your file somewhere, like, because obviously you downloaded it for Dota 2 and Steam. So it's kind of cool to, even if it's like a stupid impact, it's still you still get those moments of like, oh, I'm doing something really special when you work in esports. So that was very fun. So that was new heroes. I've heard people have seen them played, but almost nobody has, and I haven't, so I won't say anything about them. But hopefully they work out nice. Siltbreaker 2 came out. I've actually been playing it quite a bit. I think I played Siltbreaker 2 maybe more than Siltbreaker 1. Siltbreaker 1, I think, clearly had more effort put into it, I think is safe to say. Like, there was a lot of, like, mazes and, like, traps that are on timers and patterns and stuff like that, which is all really cool. Like, I was happy to see, like, Siltbreaker 1 was really cool and dynamic. Siltbreaker 2 definitely felt a little bit more flat. Especially in the first playthrough, we slammed right through with slacks, and it was super easy. And then they patched it, and then it's been harder. And I've been playing a lot of like pickup groups. I'll just like solo queue because it's hard for me to find 4 people that actually want to play Siltbreaker a couple times in a row. So I've just been playing with randoms, and it's been like mixed success. I'm doing better and better. I just really like playing custom games like Siltbreaker because you just learn a lot about like mechanics and understanding what's strong about a hero. Because like whenever I play games like Siltbreaker, I literally just sit there and I just theorycraft the whole time. Like, what is going to make my hero as valuable as possible in the late game? Like, should I buy this item? Should I buy this item? Like, I kept picking different heroes today when I played. I played Viper today, and I played, who was the other one? Viper and Lena, I think. We lost the Lena one because my team sucked. But when I played Viper, it actually worked quite well. And I looked at Viper originally and I was like, oh, this isn't going to work because ulti is like not going to work against the boss. It doesn't really slow him, just does damage. It's kind of crappy. And oh, you've got poison attack, but it does like almost no damage compared to your right click. And oh, your passive it's not going to do like any damage to your opponent. And it gives you magic resistance, which is okay. But so it just felt like he only had one skill in Nether Toxin. But as I got to the final boss, I actually felt really strong because I had 20 armor perk at 25, so I'm like basically invulnerable. I had a Mjolnir and Satanic, so I had ways to heal and ways to do AoE damage. And Corrosive Haze is really good at making sure that the little small creeps don't actually kill you fast. So it's actually, he's actually really good. And then Nether Toxin, obviously, you just do bonus damage the whole time. Like I played Shadow Fiend, I think a day or two. He's actually not bad either because he does -6 armor. He gets like a bonus 150 damage or 180 damage or something ridiculous from his souls, which is a huge amount. So even if his raises suck and even if his ultimate's pretty bad, like you're still hit hard. So I think there's a lot of viability and a lot of different heroes in Siltbreaker, and I think it's just fun to play around and try them out and think about how builds work and how to min-max that and how to make it truly better. And so I just love that shit. So that's why I play Siltbreaker a lot. But I've had a really good time playing it, and honestly, guys, I recommend playing Dota-like games and custom games. You'll learn stuff about mechanics, and if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you don't really care that much and you prefer just to read builds, that works too. So it's fun to play with friends if you haven't. I recommend playing at least, like, get 3 friends together and explore the game and do your best and lose and maybe give up. But I think it's worth trying at least once. Questions. Radman Madi says, why are you holding Blanket back? He could go pro in competitive Siltbreaker. That's true. I do hold him back often in all these weird game modes. He just, I don't know, man. He just needs some truly interesting things. I don't even know if he enjoys playing regular Dota, to be honest. Like, definitely doesn't enjoy Siltbreaker too much. Dientiable. This video didn't show up in your sub box. You've seen it happen before. Energy Cores responded and said, you won't see all videos in your sub box. The workaround is to click the bell icon next to the subscribe button. To be honest, I wouldn't be able to answer a question like this for at least like 5 or 6 years. Basically, once I started being a YouTuber, I found that I didn't have time to watch YouTubers anymore. But right before I became a YouTuber, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I would watch like a lot of StarCraft. I would watch Husky and HT StarCraft. I would watch some Day9 stuff back then, and there's a couple other like channels that I watched, like comedy or other stuff. But honestly, if you check my YouTube subscriptions, it's basically all like YouTubers from way back then. I really don't watch YouTube. I don't subscribe, so I don't know anything. But thank you, Energy Core, for the help. We appreciate it. Questions from the $50 Patreons. Will we ever get a Slacks Coach's Purge video? And if we do, what are the biggest things you feel you would learn? How many thousands of MMR would you gain? Well, I don't know. I think we probably should do something like that. There's probably some hero he could try to teach me. I don't know, man. Maybe like Techies stuff. Like I think I actually, when I played Techies last week, I actually really enjoyed it, and I think he could definitely teach me some strategy pattern stuff about Techies. I think my Techies can be better than his for sure, but I definitely need some prep. So I think something like that could work. Other biggest things, obviously, like morale things are reasonable. Like he's way better at morale in game. That part of Slacks is always very interesting to me, and like our brains definitely work differently. It's very clear that we have different like strengths as people. Like he's weak on ultra analysis stuff, but I'm weak on all the things that he's good at. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic for that reason. And that's genuinely how we are as people. So I always like thinking about that. But there's definitely things that I can learn from Slacks and Dota. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I can take lessons from somebody that can't last it. How many thousands of MMR would you gain? I don't even know. Probably not much. Maybe 100 points, something like that. Not sure. Question from Gavin: you enjoy watching competitive Dota like any sport, and esport is growing rapidly. Do you think there will be a time when national teams will compete for a World Cup of Dota, or your dream an e-lympics event, when all esports like CSGO, World of Tanks, League of Legends compete for gold medals? Please get Moonduck onto the Dota World Cup where players play for national pride. I know Australians are proud of our top tier players, Anna and KP, and would love for them to team up. Even Gods, or maybe not. Gods is actually, he's a good player. He's like at least 6K, approximately. When he tries real hard, he's maybe higher. Do I think there's going to be a time when national teams compete for a World Cup? Maybe. The problem is that essentially already happens. National teams, excuse me. There have been rumors of this happening in the past, but the problem is that like it just doesn't seem worth it right now. Like the esports ecosystem is not really in a place where like every single region, like teams don't want to just take like a moment to go play on their national team and go compete in a tournament. Like esports is very like yeah, it's about countries, but it's so much less about countries. It's more like the teams just want to win, and the teams want to have the best teams possible. So they're going to blend teammates really rapidly and often, especially in Dota because the prize pool is like everything. So I don't really see it working out super well, because the regions are not very like I said, those tournaments happen sometimes, but they're always kind of weird. And it forces it's like trying to force, you're trying to take something that's normal in like real world stuff, you're trying to force it into esports is kind of what's happening. You're trying to force that thing into esports, and it's just weird, and it doesn't work super well. And maybe it's just because there aren't enough players. Like if you're talking about, like for all of those other little sports, is the Olympics the best thing? I don't know enough about other sports, but let's say like javelin throwing or some shit. Is there anything even close to as big as the Olympics? Do they have tournaments around the year that they can win prize money at? I have no idea. Esports already has that, so why would they go step down just for the national pride thing? Like, plus you guys probably saw, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the some guy in the Olympics was talking about adding esports, but he said this like super fucking bullshit stereotypical comment about video games are inherently violent. It was like the biggest load of shit ever. It was actually so stupid, especially because they have things like shooting and javelin throwing and fencing and fucking boxing, where you actually beat somebody up. Like that shit actually, people can actually die in some of those things at the Olympics, whereas in video games, no. Ugh, it's stupid. I mean, I see their point if they're talking about CSGO or a shooter game, for example, or maybe World of Tanks, I guess, if you're afraid of encouraging tank violence. But the regular world is not ready, I don't think, for esports, and I'm not sure they will be for a while. And to be honest, we don't fucking need them. Like, it's been at least since like 2010 since I felt like we needed to show the world that esports is a thing. Basically, yeah, 2010, 2011. Since then, I'm just like, yeah, it's happening. I'm interested if you're curious, but I don't. It's not like I'm gonna go around screaming to top of my lungs. All right. Something else I did is I built my computer. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's super fast. I can stream 1080p, 60 FPS, and it doesn't even tax my processor fully. It's at like 50%. Usually when I do it, when I'm making this local recording, I'm at 7% right now. It's ridiculous. I guess it's just a webcam, so maybe that's why. But it's been really good. There was lots of comments about cable management. It seemed like the consensus was that I'm a cable management god. So thanks for all the positive comments. I appreciate that, guys. And a few comments about testing other games with the new comp. I just don't care. The only thing I might do is I haven't set up the VR yet. The other part of the room right now is empty. Michelle moved her computer to the kitchen, so now there's more room in here. So if I clean up this other half of the room, I could basically make this like VR rectangle. It'd be better if it was a square, but I don't know. A VR is basically the only way that I'm going to super tax this other than streaming. So maybe I'll try it, but basically the amount of times I've used my Vive is less than 5 since I bought it. Love the thing. Very cool. Love showing it to people. But I pretty much only ever get it out and put it up when my dad gets here or my other family or visits or something. That's pretty much it. So, that's it for the computer. Having a good time with it. Orchid video. Wazers Z said, I don't know if this has been asked before, but what about Sven? Seen multiple people pick it up on him late game. When would you build it on him as a replacement for Echo Saber attack speed and mana late game? ? Before I answer that, yeah, I made the Orchid video. I'm very proud of it. I didn't see a Reddit thread. I was a little disappointed. I didn't post it myself because I felt weird doing. I don't like doing that usually. But item series is progressing. I know that we are way late. The time between the Midas video and the Orchid video was huge, but there was day 9 stuff, there was TI, lots of things. The next one that's on the docket is gonna be a 4-staff, and I think I want to do Blink Dagger afterwards. So Blink Dagger is one I really want to do, so I might, but we'll see. I might still do voting for people at the vote for power level, the $10 level. But very happy with the Orchid video. Maybe was a little long, a little too dense, but I think it's pretty much perfect, I dare say. I was very pleased with it. Sandra did an amazing job editing that video. But yeah, go check it out, please. I really like the video. I really recommend you check it out. Okay, so the question, Sven, Orchid. It is a sometimes thing. When Bloodthorn came out, teams and players started really picking it up a lot just because it can be really good. Like if you jump in and disable somebody, even if they have a BKB or something afterwards, you still get a couple crits in, which can be enough sometimes to kill them. And it does give you mana late game, which is kind of cool. And there's also some situations late game where you do need an Orchid, like if it's a Storm Spirit or something like that. So there's times basically where Bloodthorn is worth it, but Bloodthorn is like 2,000 more gold than Daedalus is. So if you just have a Daedalus and you don't have to worry about like hitting through evasion, that's another reason Bloodthorn might work on Sven. That's probably just better just to get a Daedalus because you get it faster, and as soon as you get it, you might just like one-shot people, two-shot people, because the crit is way higher. It does like, it's like a 2.3 times crit, whereas Bloodthorn is like 1.45 or something. It's like 30% natural, I think. Maybe I'm off. No, it's 75. The natural attack is 75% crit extra. Whereas, so it's 175%, whereas the Daedalus is like 220 or something, 235, something like that. And if you use Bloodthorn active, then it's 45% extra damage, 145 basically. So it's situational. You can do it. Not always needed though. The attack speed and the damage on Orchid for a strength hero is not great. It's like 30 attack speed, 30 damage, 25 damage, 30 attack speed, something like that. It's pretty bad. But it is sometimes done on Sven, TA, stuff like that. On the Mark's comment, worth noting that Orchid is much more powerful at lower MMR sub 2500 because players are less likely to purchase the counters. You can't tell me how many times you see late game cores with no BKB Manta getting owned by Orchid. I absolutely believe that. It happens to me sometimes too when I really don't want to buy BKB, and Orchid can actually just ruin your whole game. And definitely a valid point. Probably something I should have included, just like at lower MMRs, by the way. Orchid can be godly. But it's probably not always worth framing the game around Orchid. It's hard to talk about strategy at low MMRs just because it doesn't always apply. It could be weak logic. It could be not necessarily weak logic, but yes, it works. Yes, I can buy a Shadow Blade at 2k MMR and never die, but doesn't mean I should be doing it. Maybe I should be doing something else. So, Purge cast. That's another video that we started. This is part of the Patreon rewards. Thoughts on the concept so far are basically that it's pretty good. I'm not a good play-by-play caster. I used to do it a long time ago, but basically need videos for you guys to submit, so we need more people at that level, which is one of the reasons I'm probably going to adjust it for Patreon. There were a few submissions. We'll probably open it up to a different level next time, maybe lower it to like, I don't know, $15 or $10 or something like that. I think if we put it at the $10 level, there'll be way too many submissions because I think there's like 100 people at the $10 level, so maybe we'll put it at like 15 or something like that. Not sure. But I'll try to figure something out in the next week or two for Patreon tiers. B Noff, LOL, Purge gamers obviously paid for Purge to say good things about his clips. It's true. He did. That's a fact. The Soul Harvester, I think this would be most popular if you really chewed them out real picky. I was thinking about that. One of the downsides is that if you just tell people the mistakes they're making, then it's not so much about it being a cool clip. It's about me putting them down, and I don't really always want to do that. If somebody wants replay coaching, it's worthwhile, I think, and if it's like a Purge cast at pub, it's worth it. But it's important that you don't make all of your content just like putting people down, because it's not always very constructive. And in fact, I generally get too negative as a whole most of the time. So I think it's probably something I'll stay away from. Comment from a lot of people, aka I don't know if this is actually a person named a lot of people or it's actually a lot of people, but Purge cast at pub, please. Like I said earlier, I'll probably throw it in as a raffle. Maybe do like 1 a month or something, maybe 2 a month for each of these things, like Purge cast at pub, replay coaching, maybe put those on bigger tiers. It's probably a way that we'll sprinkle those in to be more valuable. Purge plays with day 9 optional. Oh, I see what he meant. Just update about day 9 show. We're 2 weeks in now where we've been doing the day 9 show without video prep. That's basically because we've covered all the major topics for learning Dota. So from here, we're kind of just doing a more relaxed approach where we will work on one role, for example, for a couple weeks in a row, and I'll like take examples from something he did in the previous week as mistakes. That way we can try to keep pushing forward. The first week, it was mostly as Sean and I sit around and play Dota for 8 hours stream. But last week, it was definitely very constructive, like focus on the errors he's making. But he's actually getting very good at carry right now, I think. I think he's like playing at 4K level. Excuse me. I even had him play Luna for the first time, and he played it just about flawlessly, except for his Eclipses. Eclipses were not good. But then I had him play Slark, because that's a hero I had him play on stream a while ago, and he had a lot of trouble with it. And he still had a lot of trouble with it. He fed big time the first game, and then when I played with him, he still played pretty weak. Basically, he's just not ready for Slark. It's hard for him to like think about what his opponent's skills do, when to use his skills, how to use them correctly, how to mechanics, tread swapping to cast Dark Pact. It's like Slark is actually a pretty high skill hero, surprisingly. As annoying as he is to play against, he actually does take quite a bit of skill, I would say. A moderate amount, maybe. Replay commentaries this month. We made a Zeus and a Chaos Knight video. We have a Queen of Pain one coming. That was the support Queen of Pain that I played with Day 9. Made that. It's not released yet. Gonna keep pumping those out. Now that I've been playing a lot more Dota in the last 2 weeks, I have so many replay commentaries I can do. Played a Tusk game the other day on Merlini's stream, and I really want to do a replay commentary for that, so I'll probably do that. But yeah, keep pumping those out. I used to take suggestions on the website about those, but with the website being down, and I honestly haven't even looked at that replay commentary poll in a while, probably start focusing more on just doing my games, maybe take some requests. Questions about that. No, these are general questions. I think before I get to these general questions, I'll say the last thing is other Patreon rewards that are going on. I know I said I was done with Patreon, but I forgot to mention this. So if you're at the $5 level, either on Twitch or Patreon, you guys are going to be included in my Purge Gamers Discord. It's private. You guys can go in there. That's where we organize sub games. So for the $5 level, we'll play sub games like about once a week. Which just means we'll make custom lobbies of like random draft, ability draft, all pick, things like that, single draft, all random deathmatch, and we'll just play in-houses basically with subs. That's a $5 level for Patreon and Twitch. If you're at the $10 level, that's the Vote of Power level, which lets you pick the heroes I play once a week. And honestly, there's not too many people on that level. Usually when you join that and you link your Discord, you'll get in this private chat channel within the Discord. And when I do the Vote for Power streams, you can suggest heroes to play. And usually there's only like 6 to 8 people that even suggest a hero at all. So if you guys want me to play a specific hero, that's a super easy way to do it. Except for the whole money part, you'll have to make $10, give it to me, then I can play a hero for you. Probably. But that option is there, just letting you guys know. And the same goes for people on Twitch at the same dollar amounts. I'm trying to like make sure that I give crossover value for both. So that's everything about Patreon, probably. Other generic questions. Can you help Tyler 1 learn Dota? I actually watched his stream quite a bit the day that he streamed, because people were writing about him in my Twitch chat when I was still streaming, and I didn't know who he was. And checked him out later that night and watched him for a bit. He is definitely, it's difficult to learn Dota when you're new, that's for sure. I guess I should know that more than most people, but probably won't do a coaching thing, but I'm not gonna. I'm just kind of busy right now, basically, and I don't even know if he's gonna keep playing Dota. It sounded like he was gonna play other games, and I mean he's a little bit of a stream persona, anyways, and I don't know if I've ever worked well with those kind of people in the past. Obviously, I've heard he's an extremely good player, but I don't know. Maybe if we did something where I just fucking made fun of him the whole time or something, but I mean he's probably way better at League than I would ever be at Dota percentage-wise, so maybe it won't be worth it. I don't know. But he's not really the type of person I usually like to play Dota with, so I will probably pass. 3-3 Shin 3-3. Can we have a draft analysis series or something? That would be fantastic. The problem with me doing draft analysis is I'm not very good at drafting, I don't think. I look a lot about like hero counters, what's good against what, why a hero is picked, why a hero is banned, but I don't always see the true reason behind, so I don't feel strong enough at drafting to make a video about it. Definitely one of my weaknesses as an analyst. So I think I'm gonna pass. I think it's easy to do it in picking, like for pub games. I think that's somewhere that you can make it, that I could do something good. But in terms of like captain's mode, I'm not like lost, but I'm like moderately lost, I feel like. So I'll have to pass on that, but I'll think about doing the one for pub games. Summary is basically make sure that your hero is good against their heroes and works well with your heroes and makes your lanes good, and boom, you're good. Final comment here on the CK video. You said you like these in-depth looks at heroes, but you don't want me to do enough. You don't think I do enough to differentiate the causality in the talent choices and win percentages. So that's like where I'll say, oh, the plus 15 damage on Viper has a lower win rate than the 175 health. Therefore, the 175 health is better, is usually what I say. it looks like you should always pick the stats at 20 for CK, for example, because it has a much higher win rate than the gold, meaning it'll give you a better chance to win. But by level 20, most games are lopsided enough that one team is winning by a reasonable margin, and if you were losing, the 120 gold might be much better. But since you're losing anyway, it'll raise your win chance, as an example, from 25 to 30, while the stats might raise it from 25 to 27. So his point is basically, if I'm already winning a game, then basically your win percentages are going to affect what talents you pick often, which is true. If I'm stomping a game and I know I'm about to win, I might grab not the GPM talent and give that a higher win rate. Or if I'm playing CK and I'm trying to close the game out, I'm going to get the stats. If I'm behind on CK, do I really want GPM? Maybe. Probably not. 120 GPM is pretty bad at level 20. I don't think that one's ever worth it. But it's definitely a fair point. I look too often at the numbers and I make a conclusion based on that instead of thinking, is this really better? So in some ways I should ignore the percentages. There should be more of a guideline. Also, it just doesn't always, I don't know. I would still get stats on CK though, because stats also help you come back from a losing game, whereas GPM don't. I think farming creeps and winning team fights is by far better than collecting more passive gold. That just sucks, unless you're like a really poor farmer and the game doesn't end for 30 minutes. People aren't winning more because they're picking stats over gold. They're picking stats over gold because they're already winning and we're probably going to win either way. Disagree. They're picking stats over gold because stats is better than gold. But there's many examples where what you said is probably correct. But not in this case. Never get 120 GPM on CK. That sucks ass. It has like a huge win rate. If it's like more than like a 5% win rate on Dota buff for the talent options, it's probably the better one. Probably, almost always. Anything less than like 3%, I would definitely agree with this guy. All right, things coming up. Learn Dota series. I started work on that yesterday. So basically the plan, this is one of the Patreon awards. The plan was take the Day 9 series that we did and basically compartmentalize it into smaller episodes that are easy to watch, that are just visual presentations. So basically similar to like the Orchid video, the Midas video, like short, digestible, super high production value visual aids, and like 6 to 12 minute videos, and then there will probably be like 15 to 30 of those, and then after you watch all those, you should know all of Dota. So it'll be a more digestible version of what I showed to Sean, but even more digestible and less time. So it'll take more effort and more editing, but we already pretty much have everything written out. So I'm kind of just taking like the lesson plans that I wrote and I'm trying to condense them a little bit, maybe rearranging a bit based on what worked and what didn't with Sean, adding in things as we missed or didn't cover well enough. And then we'll make a Learn Dota series. So the current estimation of that, I basically outlined the first 4 episodes yesterday. I'm going to probably want to outline another like 8 or so before we start working on an episode, maybe another 4 or something. We could probably start on the first ones. So that'll be done semi-soon. So I think by the end of November, we should have at least like 2-3 episodes out, I imagine. Is probably safe to say. I think we'll definitely have the first video out by the end of September, but we'll see. I don't have too much on the schedule coming up, so should be able to start pumping these out. And once they start coming out, it should be pretty fast to do the next one, because it'll get a bit. The turnover should be pretty straightforward. Really hope you guys enjoy that. I'm really excited. If some people have asked in the past, like, is it going to be the same as the Welcome to Dota You Suck? Is it going to supplement that? And the answer is more like it'll be separate, because one of the issues with Welcome to Dota You Suck, the guide, the first one I wrote was not comprehensive enough and mostly just covered all these things that the average bad player had no idea existed. Like, don't buy Vlads on illusion heroes because it doesn't make your illusions better, for example. It was a lot of stuff like that. Or like, X-based thing about Dota is bad. You need to get gold, or you shouldn't, I don't know, buy shitty items, stuff like that. Oh, you shouldn't rush Voidstone, it's bad. You shouldn't rush Ring of Health, it's bad, for example. That was the first version. Second version was like fully comprehensive, but it was too long and it was too dense, in my opinion. And I should have segmented it up. I think Hopid gave me that advice, like, and maybe my girlfriend as well said the same thing, like separate it up for beginners, mediocre, advanced players. And I probably should have done something like that. But now it's going to be more like, I'm going to teach you guys to understand Dota strategy, and from there, and then a little bit afterwards, tell you how to play the game better. But I'm trying to like truly help people understand how the game works and why the strategy is like it is. And so I'm very excited about it. It'll be very good, I think, because the Day 9 show went extremely well, and I think this will be a more condensed, better version of the Day 9 series. So excited about that. Something else, Midas Mode got announced. Only reason I'm talking about that, if you guys didn't know, I'm in Moonduck TV, which is like an online Dota broadcasting team, and we do some other games as well right now, doing some PUBG stuff. I think Mott is pretty active in that. But Midas Mode is a tournament design that was suggested us by Z-Freak, I believe, originally on Complexity, and then we kind of been running with it for a while. So the game design was kind of like laid out initially by Slacks, and then Slacks and I basically sat down and brainstormed heavily and have been working really hard to get the tournament going. So I'm really excited about it. I've been pretty much involved with the strategical game design of the mode from the beginning. But basically the way that it works is there's going to be like a stock market for every single hero, and picking OP heroes is going to be expensive, and picking bad heroes is going to be cheap. And so teams will have this like set amount of moonbucks, like moonduck dollars, bucks, and they will have to spend it throughout the tournament, and they can do challenges and things to get more moonbucks, or random to get moonbucks, or random to not have to pay to pick a hero, for example. So there's a lot of like costs associated with it, but we're super excited about it. It's announced for November right now, and we have literally amazing teams in our tournament. It's all going to be online. It's not going to be like a minor or a major or anything like that. You have to have a LAN for that, and we're not even close to doing something like that. It's so much easier just to do an online tournament. I don't think online tournaments are dead at all, by the way, not in the slightest. And I think this is going to prove it. If we get literally every top team to play in an online tournament, online is not dead. So Midas Mode, very excited about, coming in November. Hope you guys are excited. Go check out the announcement video. It's very funny. And other than that, Slacks is getting married next week on the 7th. On the 7th, Slacks will be married. And I'm going to be there. I'm a groomsman. I'm leaving on Tuesday super early in the morning. We're having a LAN party. And then I'm leaving on Friday to come back. So I might miss the Day 9 show on Wednesday. Not sure. We'll see. And so that's coming up. And that's about it. There's some tournaments coming up, but I don't know anything about it. There's no talent list released. Nobody's asked me yet. Don't know what's happening. But I do plan to work some tournaments going forward. Other than Midas Mode, of course. And I think that's about it. I basically just spilled my guts to you guys. Talked about my last month. Felt good. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. It had to be at least an hour, I'm sure. Pretty normal for me, but clearly there's lots of stuff I can talk about. All right, if I was to give you a quick summary of things that I demand you to watch if you haven't seen them. Number one, go watch my orchid video. I'm a huge fan of that video. I think it's amazing. That's it. Just kidding. Replay commentaries I've been pretty into this week. I'm so much more able to do replay commentaries now that I'm not putting all my creative energy into writing Day 9 show video concepts, basically. Even the ones I did yesterday, way easier because it's like summaries of things I already did once, so I already understand it. So I'm very excited about replay commentaries again, which is good. And that's about it, I guess. Orchid video, you can watch my build a computer video if you want. Siltbreaker video, Siltbreaker's really fun, I think. Go check those out. I'll work on Patreon rework soon, and I think that's about it. Hopefully see you guys soon on stream. Thanks again to everybody that supports, whether that means watching, donating with bits on Twitch, or subbing on Twitch, or Patreon. Being a patron on my Patreon. I don't know. I'm tired of talking. I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Have a good day.